The longhouse grew quiet, yet Sigmund remained, the embers of the feast fading into the blackened hearth. His thoughts were loud, louder than the laughter had been, louder than the fire, louder even than Valgrin's warnings. War was coming. He had known this long before his brother had spoken it aloud. But what Valgrin did not understand, what warriors never understood, was that brute force was only one path to victory. He could not wield his way to power, not yet. To move too soon was to invite ruin, to make enemies before he had the means to crush them. So he would not move soon. He would move right. Sigmund pushed himself up from the table and strode toward the doors. The longhouse air was thick with the scent of spiced ale, roasted meat, and the sweat of men who had worked and feasted alike. But outside, the night carried a different scent. The cold bite of salt and pine, the lingering dampness of the fjord. He stepped into the darkness, boots pressing into the damp earth, and inhaled deeply. The wind was alive tonight, carving its way through the valley, whispering secrets only the wise would listen to. It had been years since he first laid eyes on this place. Back then there had been no longhouse, no docks, no trade, no council. Only a stretch of land by the water's edge, nestled in the arms of the mountains. The river had fed into the fjord, its path a promise of trade, of connection, of power yet to be grasped. The others had not seen it at first. A village here, they had scoffed. There's nothing but trees and stone. But Sigmund had seen more. Then we will build, he had said. Stone can be shaped, trees can be felled, rivers can carry more than fish. And now, they stood in what he had built. A village, a growing one. A village that others would soon see as a prize. A gust of wind cut across the water, sending ripples through the fjord, and Sigmund narrowed his eyes at the dark horizon. You let him leave too easily. The voice was quiet but steady. He turned. Ingrid stood at the path's edge, wrapped in a thick fur, her breath curling in the night air. She had followed him, to question, but to understand. Sigmund smirked, shaking his head. A storm does not rage because we wish it to stay. Valgrin was always going to leave. She stepped closer, her gaze piercing. And he was right. Sigmund exhaled, turning back to the water. A wolf does not earn its teeth by baring them too soon. You have built this place, Sigmund, but now it must be defended. Do you think I do not know that? His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it now, a fire beneath the control. If I name myself Jarl today, I make enemies of men who could have been allies. If I raise walls too soon, I send a message that I fear war. And if I pour all we have into defenses, we starve. A dead man behind a high wall is still a dead man. Then what? She challenged. You wait? You let fortune decide whether Storrvik stands or burns. Sigmund's smirk returned, but this time it carried no warmth, only steel. I have never let fortune decide anything. He turned, stepping toward her, the wind raking through his hair. We will train men, he said. We will build, but we will do it quietly, without raising banners. without making fools think we wish to rule. We are not ready for power, not yet, but we will be. Her gaze softened slightly. She reached for his hand and without a word placed it against her stomach. Sigmund stilled. There, beneath her fur-lined cloak, was the warmth of something more than the night, something more than war. Oskir, a son, their future. For a long moment neither spoke. The fjord whispered against the shore, the mountains loomed like silent sentinels, and the night carried the weight of generations yet to come. Then Ingrid's voice broke the quiet. Then build for him. Sigmund closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. When he opened them, the fire was steady once more. This is our duty, he said. To build when others tear down, to move forward while others fight over the scraps behind us, to keep walking, even when no one cheers. She nodded, understanding the weight of his words. And when the time comes, she asked. Sigmund's smirk returned, but this time it was sharper, colder. Then we will not take power, Ingrid. He looked back toward the village, toward the land that had once been nothing but trees and stone. When the time comes, power will be waiting for us to claim it. A raven cawed overhead, silhouetted against the moon. Sigmund turned back toward the longhouse, his voice firm, unshaken. We start training tomorrow.